It's not politically correct. It's totally incorrect. You're listening to the Totally Incorrect Podcast with David Holliday.
Hello there. Yes, this is David. And welcome to this very latest Totally Incorrect podcast, or video, I guess, would be the more appropriate name for it these days. I've been thinking, and I'm recording this just a couple of days before the US midterm elections. And you may have seen my previous video where I talked about how I decided that I really didn't want to vote this time around. I was very disenchanted with US politics, and I just didn't want to take part this time. But I realized that by not taking part, I was playing right into the hands of the people that are trying to take democracy away from regular people. And so I did register, and I am going to vote, and hopefully my vote will count for something, although I kind of feel that's a little bit unlikely. But one of the things that got me thinking for this video is that I've seen on LinkedIn and in other social media sites of late a number of posts about how it's really important to protect Americans' God-given freedoms. And obviously these kind of posts tend to come from the God, Guns and Flag cult members, but you see them quite often, and a lot of people really think that. So it did get me wondering a couple of things. First of all, if there happened to be a God, why would she single out one country to give her God-given freedoms to at the expense of others? How would she determine that? Would she even do such a thing? Why not give all the people that she has apparently created the same freedoms? I don't have an answer to that one. But the other thing that I got thinking about was, what are these God-given freedoms? What are the freedoms that we have here in the United States that people in other countries don't have? Does the United States have more freedoms? Is it the freest country in the world? And something that jogged in my memory was that a while ago I read a post by Madison Butler on LinkedIn, and Madison made the point that not only is the United States not the freest country, it isn't even in the top 10. I didn't pay too much attention to it at the time. I thought it was kind of a throwaway comment, as comments on social media are sometimes. But I've been thinking about this since and wondering, how do you know what the freest countries are? Are there stats kept of this? What does most free even mean? How can you possibly track that? So I spent the obligatory 5 minutes on Google looking for answers to this, and I did find that there are a number of organizations that do in fact keep statistics of levels of freedom and the freedoms that people have in particular countries. And the one that struck me as looking very well thought out and possibly might be something that could be accurate to at least some extent comes from an organization called the World Population Review. Feel free to check this out yourself at worldpopulationreview.com. I will make sure that there is a link to their website in the notes that will go with the video wherever I happen to post it. And they in fact do keep track of freedoms of just about all the countries in the world. There's hundreds of countries that are in their charts. And I happen to have my trusty phone here, and let me just find some hopefully useful information. The first thing is that they actually, their method for tracking these freedoms is to track personal freedom, the freedoms that we have as individuals, and economic freedom. And they basically combine these two rankings in order to make a human freedom target number. And they list these, as I say, for all these different countries. And I'm going to just cheat and just read these off from their website because I'm not capable of remembering all this stuff. The freest country, and I must confess this wasn't what I expected to see here. I honestly expected to see one of the Scandinavian countries as being the freest country. But the freest country, according to their criteria, is Switzerland, followed by New Zealand, Denmark, Estonia. Don't know why, but that one kind of surprised me a little bit as well. Ireland, Canada, Finland, Australia, Sweden, Luxembourg. And as Madison mentioned in her post, the United States does not appear in the top 10. It's actually 15th in the latest standings. The United Kingdom, where I come from, is currently 14th, just one place above. I suspect that the way that freedoms are being reduced in both of those countries at the moment, they're likely to be downwardly mobile in the list when the next one is published, which I assume will be at the beginning of next year. So it does kind of put into perspective my own thoughts on this, because I've never really considered that, living in the United States, and I'm a citizen of both the United States and the United Kingdom, I've never considered that the United States had any freedoms that people in most other countries don't have, other than the obvious one that everybody can own guns and we have school shootings and things like that, which personally I don't think is a particularly good freedom. But other than that, most of the Western countries and most of the more advanced countries have pretty much the same kind of freedoms. So singling out, any particular one as being in better shape than any others seems a bit of a strange thing to do. So the United States is definitely not the freest country. So whether or not there was a God, whether or not she dispensed her freedoms fairly among all of the countries, she certainly didn't dispense more of them to the United States than any other country. The elections this week are going to be interesting. I think that could have an effect on how we do with our freedoms here in the US over the next few years. So I hope you're going to vote. I changed my mind at quite the last minute. Hopefully you will as well if you were thinking of sitting this one out. So anyway, thank you for listening to this short video about freedoms and the freest countries. And yeah, good job Switzerland, good job New Zealand. Proud of you guys. Thanks so much, and talk to you next time at Totally Incorrect. Take care.